Hello and welcome to this presentation. Before we begin, if you haven't done so already, please switch this presentation to slideshow mode by clicking on this icon on your screen. This is to ensure that you enjoy all the benefits this presentation has to offer. My name is Delasi Essien, and the topic for discussion today is Are PowerPoint presentations an effective teaching strategy? The PowerPoint presentation will cover overview of PowerPoint, PowerPoint as a teaching strategy, PowerPoint or PowerPointless, critical elements in PowerPoint, and finally, reinventing PowerPoint. In a few minutes, we will discuss the history of PowerPoint, what's in a name, and PowerPoint then and now. This is part A of this presentation, after which we will shift gears a bit. So why don't we get right into it, shall we? PowerPoint was designed by Dennis Austin, Tom Rodkin, and Bob Gaskin. The development was started in 1984 and completed in 1987, at which point it was released to the business world. PowerPoint was originally designed to produce overhead transparencies for laser printing as well as notes and handouts. The name PowerPoint came to be known by fluke. It was not part of the original intent. In fact, throughout its development, PowerPoint was called Presenter. It was only when the creators wanted to copyright their name that they found out another software had been developed with the same name. The creators thought of calling it Slide Maker or Overhead Maker, and thank goodness they didn't do that, because the name PowerPoint has withstood all the changes in technology till date. So this is what PowerPoint looked like then. This is PowerPoint 1.0. And this is PowerPoint today. Very big change here. So PowerPoint as a teaching strategy. According to Jordan and Papp in 2015, PowerPoint is used in academic classrooms in a high percentage for three reasons. 1. Increased publication and administration pressures drive many faculty to seek ways to simplify their teaching and course preparation time. 2. Publishers who recognize the market and profit opportunity have responded by providing ready-made PowerPoint slide presentations with more and more textbooks. And finally, students who appreciate the availability of lecture notes have responded favorably on course evaluations and surveys regarding the use of PowerPoint. This has put more pressure on faculty to create, distribute, and use PowerPoint in their classrooms. Recent studies, however, have shown that although students still request them, there is lower levels of student satisfaction with PowerPoint use. Let's talk about that a little. So what has led to the downfall of PowerPoint? Common practices that often cause PowerPoint to fall short and lead to negative reactions from audiences include the need to bulletize everything. This first problem, the need to bulletize all the information presented, reduces information down to a list of several word bullets. This neglects context and gives false assumption that the list is exhaustive. Audience also lose their way in the thicket of bullets and sub-bullets. Secondly, the focus of a class is shifted from the lecturer as well as the student and is placed on the slides themselves. Students have been known to say that they can just study the PowerPoint presentations and do not need to take notes or listen to a lecture. This is a grave misconception, as note-taking is important for learning and retention. Thirdly, this lack of focus has also resulted in a lack of connection between the students and the teachers. And the technique of active learning, interaction, discussion, and teamwork are not typically included in PowerPoint presentations. Also, the use of PowerPoint presentations assume that everyone is a visual learner. This one teaching style fits all mentality is detrimental, as research has shown that students prefer different styles based on gender or the course that they are taking. Example, the courses that are rife with theories benefit the most from PowerPoint presentations. 5. Most people do not have a full understanding of how PowerPoint affects learning, and they need to learn how to design presentations to maximize their effectiveness. Cognitive overload can limit one's ability to process information. Presenters often commit the sin of triple delivery, and triple delivery is where the same information is seen on the screen, is also read to the audience verbatim, and the audience have the information printed in a handout in front of them. The sin of triple delivery. Inappropriate or absent graphics and text overload have also been implicated in the downfall of PowerPoint presentations. Reading verbatim has been known to decrease retention and violates this principle of cognitive load theory. So should we keep using PowerPoint, or is it PowerPointless? The overuse and misuse of PowerPoint presentations have led to slurs such like death by PowerPoint and PowerPointlessness. In some universities, the ability to use other software other than PowerPoint is a mark of seniority and privilege. Some businesses have banned its use entirely. And there's even a political party, the Anti-PowerPoint Party in Switzerland, that is fighting against the use of PowerPoint presentations. These reasons have led to people seeking out other technologies for presentation. However, regardless of the technology in use, if one adheres to good principles of instructional design, multimedia learning, visualization of quantitative data, and good public speaking, anyone can present an engaging lecture. Now let's put this slide into practice. I'm going to present the same information, but this time as a visual. So just like I was saying, multimedia learning, visualization, design, and informational speaking will lead to improved lectures. This is much better, isn't it? Now let's talk about the critical elements of PowerPoint. Take a few minutes to read through this slide. Although these are very important principles, you probably will not remember any of it. The simple reason being that it was presented in a way that seemed to be overwhelming. So don't do this. Instead, do this. In this slide, I have taken the same information that you read in the previous slide and presented it by applying those elements of PowerPoint. So the information is now clear, logical and simplified, succinct. It's a summary of the previous slide. I have used minimal words and simple fonts on a contrasting background. I have used graphics, and this can be considered a cognitive break from all the text that you were reading before. These are the critical elements in PowerPoint. Speaking of cognitive break, why don't we take one now? When you're ready, tap or click on the go button and enjoy this cartoon. Since many of us know how to use PowerPoint well, and frankly, it is one of the simplest tools to use when teaching, let us learn how to construct PowerPoint appropriately with these 9 simple to implement strategies suggested by Burke in 2011. 1. Consider the following questions when preparing your PowerPoint presentation. Who is the audience? What do they know about the material? What do you want them to learn at the end of the lecture? And where will the presentation take place? 2. The theme or template should be consistent, and high contrasting colors with cool backgrounds like blue or green should be used. 3. Cover slides, such as mine, should provide the topic title, name of presenter, and the date of presentation. Educational objectives should be clear and placed at the beginning of the presentation. Bullet points should be no more than 8 words per bullet and 6 bullets per slide to avoid overcrowding. The number of slides should be limited to no more than 20 to 30 in a half-hour period. Use fonts in 30-point styles in Arial, Lucinda Console, and Verdana. These have been known to be the most readable styles. Animation and media. Animated videos, pictures, music and sound, such as this cartoon image of myself, can enhance any PowerPoint presentation, and they are fairly easy and straightforward to incorporate into your presentation. Interactive education can take 3 forms. 1. Placing a show in construct mode so pieces move and fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. 2. Using audience response systems such as iClickers. Or 3. Developing interactive activity breaks. Why don't we try an activity together? Question 1. All the students in this course are awesome and deserve good grades. For argument's sake, let's say the learner chooses false. Let's see what happens. I say, sorry, that's an incorrect answer, and it gives the option to go back to the previous question or to go to the next question. Again, for argument's sake, let's say the learner chooses to go back to the previous question. And this time, the learner chooses true. Let's see what happens. Please feel free to play with the various buttons in this activity and see where they take you. And finally, citations. Adding references to the last slide and throughout the presentation enables further exploration of the information by the listeners. To recap, here are some questions to refresh your memory on what we have learned. If you do not know the answer to any of the questions, please don't fret. Just click on the section and it will take you to the answer. Section 1, Overview of PowerPoint. Who designed PowerPoint? Section 2, PowerPoint as a teaching strategy. What were the 3 reasons why PowerPoint have become highly used in academia? Section 3, PowerPoint or PowerPointless. There is a political party in Switzerland called the Anti-PowerPoint Party, true or false? Section 4, Critical Elements in PowerPoint. Can you remember one of the 5 critical elements of PowerPoint? And finally, Section 5, Reinventing PowerPoint. The most readable styles are Arial, Times New Roman, and Algerian, true or false? Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope you learned a thing or two and had fun at the same time. Here are my references.